This song lyrically is basically about signing over your soul to the devil for the promise of kingdom and riches, and ultimately being left in the end with nothing. It's also about if something seems too good to be true, it generally is. The song musically was initially written by Joe, who came up with the main riff for it, and then from there it was just a collaboration. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It came together a little bit differently than normal, I guess, whatever normal is. But actually the lyrics for this song came first before the music. Yeah, so it was a bunch of lyrics that I wrote, and then I think Joe had this riff kicking around and thought, yeah, I could certainly put these together. And then we just kind of worked it from there, and yeah, that's how it all come together.
This song was one of the first ones I was given. It was probably the second, actually, now that I think about it. My first impression was that I loved it. It's a very straightforward song with plenty of hooks. Again, with this one, I started writing the song with a 70s sounding organ. In fact, I think I sent the first draft to Dave with nothing but an organ in it. At this stage in the writing process, I was a little unsure as to what the hell I was doing, and I had no real idea of what direction I should be pushing this thing in. I knew the song was great, but I had to really figure out what my role in this project was going to be. After sending what I thought was the completed song to Dave, I think I moved on to writing the keys for the next song. But this one was one of those tracks that I would come back and revisit. I ended up changing quite a few sounds and adding some effects, and I also wrote the little intro to the track, which I'm particularly fond of. From memory, I think I grabbed Dave's vocal parts from the chorus and reversed them while adding effects and panning, and added some really weird music and little bits and pieces, and it turned out great. It's just a really fun song that turned out great in the end.
There was no challenges to this song. It's very basic, straight ahead type of song. That's what we wanted, was just a really hard hitting, pounding, heavy metal song, and yeah, that's pretty much the way it turned out, I think.
Nothing really challenging other than revisiting this song and replacing sounds. When you write songs in batches, like for an album for example, you have to make sure the songs are consistent with each other. You can't have one song sounding amazing and then another one sounding like it's lacking something. So I guess that's why I ended up reworking this song, just to give it a little lift and to bring it into line with the rest of the songs we were working on. The intro to the track was not particularly challenging to write, but it was unexpected. And sometimes when you add something that's unexpected to a song, it can get rejected. which is fair enough really, because so much work has or had really been done on the project to get it to this point. I certainly didn't want to step on any toes, but thankfully on this occasion the idea was accepted, and I think it adds a nice little splash of darkness to the start of the song.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this song. It definitely it ended up the way it was set out to be, just a basic heavy metal song, really, fairly up tempo, and what really makes a difference on it too is Ed Key's the main sort of melody he's got running through there. It sort of freshened it up a bit, rather than it just be a mundane sort of drivey song. It's also got this other element to it now, which I think is pretty cool, pretty fun.
Very happy with the song and the intro. This song in particular, along with a few others, really grabbed me right from the first listen. I love how focused the song is. It moves in one direction and it stays there for the whole song. We don't often write songs like this, so it's quite refreshing to work on something that doesn't have a million twists and turns. I think Dave and Joe did an amazing job putting this stuff together, and I really couldn't be happier with how this track turned out.
Look, there's quite a few reasons why we went down the digital download path, and one of them certainly the fact that we're not really in a position to tour or anything like that to promote a CD, so that sort of wouldn't work. Another factor is cost, obviously. To press a CD and just the postage alone costs in this country are just absolutely horrendous. So that's not really viable. But I think with the benefits for the downloading digitally is definitely the different file formats you can have. And also, I think it allows you to be a fair bit more experimental, as in, you know, you can have a completely different sound and production to the previous song that you did, which from an album's perspective you can't really do it because it has to be sort of evenly sounding, you know. So what we've committed to do is release a song every month, so a new song every month, I think on the first of every month. It keeps us active, so instead of the usual 2 to 3 year gap in between albums where you have nothing for anyone to hear, this way, I guess it for people that do enjoy our stuff is it gives them something new to listen to each month. Like I said, it keeps us going, allows us to be more experimental. We can write however we feel that month, you know, which is kind of fun. And look, it's an idea. We'll try and we'll see how it goes.
My point of view is very similar to that of Dave's, although my family and I have some extra baggage to carry, which I'll get into a little later. But firstly, Writing, recording, mixing and mastering, and also releasing a full-length album is a massive commitment. It's always been that way, even in this day and age where home recording is so accessible. It would take us a better part of 1 full year minimum to put something like that together, so it's a huge commitment. Now, my life is, as it stands right now, is very full of other commitments. So taking on a huge musical endeavour like putting out an album at this point is almost an impossibility. So let me try to explain why. So I work a full-time job as an electroplater that pays the bills and keeps the lights on. My wife and I run 2 small jewellery businesses from home, which takes a large amount of time and effort to keep that moving in the right direction. We're also in the process of building a B&B on our property, which is nearing completion. That's been a massive amount of work. Plus, I have obviously a wife and I have 2 kids, and I like to spend as much time with them as possible as well. On top of all of that, and this is kind of hard to talk about, my son has been diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. It's a horrible eating disorder, which we've been battling now for quite some time. That in itself pretty much eclipses everything else we have going in our lives, and it's probably been the most challenging thing we've ever had to deal with, to be brutally honest. Watching your own son starve himself to death is not something we ever thought we'd have to go through, and it's not something that just goes away at some point either. It's an ongoing battle for my son and an ongoing battle for the whole family, and there's been some extremely low lows in that journey. It's a devastating disorder that drains obviously my son and everyone around him basically. Thankfully that's starting to resolve now, and he's in a much better place now, so that's a good thing. It's never completely gone, but it's a hell of a lot better than it's been in a very long time. So that's one really big positive. Add writing and recording a full-length album in on top of all of that, and you can start to see how problematic that could become. So at this point in my life, it just made sense to take the pressure off and just focus on putting out a song a month. Now, there are a lot of advantages to releasing music this way. In the past, we'd record an album over the course of a year or longer, all going well, and have pretty much nothing to talk about via social media for the entire recording process. There's not much you can say other than, it's going well, and that's about it. We don't play live, so there's nothing to talk about there. We would release an album and get maybe 2 or 3 months of solid attention and sales, and then it sort of fades away and you have nothing to talk about for another year while you sit in a studio and record your next album. As I said, we're not a touring band. We never have been. We're a studio band, so all we really have to talk about is our new recordings. So to us, it makes much more sense if we release singles consistently. So all of a sudden we have a new product out every month. We have a consistent stream of things to talk about and promote. It just seems a much better fit at this point in our lives to just have fun with our music and put it out there in a way that suits our personal lives and our circumstances and all our other commitments. The other issue we have been facing is the fact that pressing CDs and mailing them out has become a hugely expensive way to distribute music, especially since we live in Australia. The price of mailing a CD to Europe these days from Australia is around $18. Add in packaging, and the price of manufacturing the CD, running to the post office every 2 seconds, and a little bit of profit on top of that for the band, and it just becomes an impossibility for us anyway. So distributing our music digitally has its shortcomings as well, I suppose, but for now it's the way we choose to put our music out there. So I guess that's my 2 cents worth. I hope that makes sense and has cleared up any misunderstandings. Dave and I still love being involved in heavy music scene after all these years. The passion is definitely still there. We still love being creative in our own way, and we're very lucky still to be able to share our music with those who are interested in what we do. Look, if you made it this far, thank you, and we'll catch you again next month when we release another brand new track. Until then.